Hi, this is Regeline Sabat, also known as Gigi. You're listening to Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Misty Cogdill. Misty Cogdill has been studying handwriting analysis since 2011 and works with business owners, network marketers, entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, service professionals, and anyone who wants to increase their business and reach their goals using handwriting analysis and the power of questions. Welcome to the show, Misty.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. It's an honor to have you here today. Now, why don't you start off by telling us about you and where you are from?
So, my name is Misty Cogdill. I'm a handwriting expert and #1 Amazon bestselling author of the book You Can Heal Your Life with Handwriting. I've been studying handwriting for a decade now, and your handwriting is a graphic representation of your thought patterns. It's a map on paper that tells me how a person thinks, and I'm able to help guide people in rewriting so that they can rewire their brains for success.
I love it. Now, tell us more about your Handwriting Soul Academy and your vision for that academy.
So the vision for the academy was built around knowing that the way we were taught in grade school was 80% limiting. And when I figured that out, I was very upset and very disappointed that our school systems would teach that. And obviously, it's not the teacher's fault. They were just doing what they were told to do. So it's understanding how our handwriting is a graphic representation of our thought patterns and knowing that there is a way that serves us and then there's a way that doesn't serve us, and wanting to create a program for people that will help rewire things so that they can have a better quality of life. Um, I I go back to from before I was born. My mom wanted to change her handwriting my entire life since before I was born, and I never really understood why. I just kind of went along with it and said, okay, that's interesting. And then my grandma was actually abused as a girl, as a child. She was born a girl. They were hoping for a boy to help out on the family farm. And so she was viewed as worthless and was abused. And that abuse actually showed up on paper. And you could actually see all the blocks and limits in her handwriting. And I had always thought, after I had learned what I had learned, that if she would have been able to go back and consciously rewrite the way she was writing, if that been able to overcome that trauma that she experienced.
I love it. So you found a correlation between folks who've been abused and their handwriting.
Yeah, well, that and I was married in my 20s, and what made me to really recognize the difference with handwriting was about a year into my marriage, I had noticed that my personality had shifted quite a bit, and I was experiencing life differently, and I didn't understand why. And so when I continued to observe, I was asking questions, and nobody had answers for me. And from that, I was kind of left in the dark, and everybody had confirmed. All my friends, my family had confirmed, yeah, you've changed. And I said, yeah, and I don't know why. And so I ended up getting divorced 6 years later, and when I got my maiden name back, I'd gotten my old personality back. But again, it took about a year for me to recognize that something had shifted, and then I had gotten my old personality back. Then I was convinced marriage changed you. And when I realized that, I said, okay, but why does it change you? And when I had started to put the puzzle pieces together, I had put the common denominator of, well, I changed my last name and then I changed my signature, and I started studying handwriting analysis and handwriting graphology. And that's when I was able to put the pieces of the puzzle together, that our handwriting is a graphic representation of our thought patterns. And when you change your handwriting, you change your thought patterns, which can cause you to experience life differently.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, you mentioned that you went through a divorce as well. Now, for the folks that are listening, what is your best advice to them to never give up in regards to, if they're going through a breakup or a divorce?
Yeah, so anyone right now who, whether you're married or whether you're divorced, depending on what last name you have, I always recommend you can still journal your maiden name. Nobody has to get divorced. You can still journal your maiden name if you want to. I've met women who they get married and they skyrocket. All of a sudden, things get really, really good and they're loving life and they can't quite put their finger on why. And then I'm able to point out the picture, or able to point things out a little more clearly. And then I've met other women where they don't like the changes that took place. They don't like the new experience of life. And I always say, go back to writing, your maiden name, or, learn how to write in the new way. The way that I teach with the handwriting program is there's a specific way to write each letter that serves you. And there's a way to write each letter that doesn't serve you. And like I said, the way we were taught in grade school was 80% limiting. So I work with people and guide them to write newly. And it's not a matter of penmanship. It's a matter of the shape of each letter has a certain pattern and characteristic trait to it. And then based on how they write, there's a lot of emotion to be healed when you begin writing in a new way. So there's a lot of science and research and coaching and supporting of emotional intelligence that goes into the program that I offer. So
I love it. Now tell us more about what inspired you to travel the US in an RV to teach about the many benefits of handwriting.
Well, I have always wanted to travel in an RV for probably the last 7 years. And when COVID hit, I said, well, now's the best time to to go out and go explore. And if I have to be indoors, at least I can be indoors on wheels. And I know about the law of vibration. I'm also a Bob Proctor coach and consultant. So I've studied the many benefits of the law of vibration, the law of attraction, what you think about comes about, and your environment. Your environment is very important. So I thought if I got in my own environment and started to travel, I would meet certain people and I would open myself up to connecting with more people, and somebody's going to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's going to continue to expand the options and the possibility of finding the right people to make this go bigger and to expand things in such a way that I would be able to find someone who can get this into the public school systems, as well as find somebody who understands what this is and knows how to maximize it, the full capacity and capabilities of it with supporting people. A lot of times I've said this is the missing piece to the law of attraction, and also with personal development. So many coaches, there's so many mentors and coaches out there. And I've shared with people that a true coach will cause you to shift your thinking. And when you shift your thinking, that thinking will show up on paper. It'll be a graphic representation of it. You actually will change your handwriting based on the shifting of what the mentor and coach would do for you. So with that, I've said too, I work really well with coaches because they're coaching you, and then I'm here showing you how to write differently, and the two go hand in hand. It's a perfect match for a quantum leap for people.
I love it. That is absolutely amazing. Now tell us more about your experience being part of the Marketplace Masterz 2020 and 2021 Business for Social Change Tour.
Yes, I love that. Kirsten Dunn, I met her while I was traveling as well, and she is a woman on a mission. She is to help change the world through business and having businesses come together to support their communities and finding businesses that can support each community and what solutions they bring. And so when her and I got together, I learned about her mission, she learned about my mission, and it was just a perfect recipe for greatness when it comes to sharing with people the many benefits of handwriting. So as she goes state to state, I love learning from her, and with her, I get to share about the many benefits of handwriting and get to expand it a lot more into the benefits of learning how it reflects our mindset and how you can shift your thinking when you write in a new way and reach the most noble, best patterns possible with your thinking.
Fantastic. Now tell us more about your book, You Can Heal Your Life with Handwriting.
Yes. So my book, I've got it right here.
Bring it closer.
So it's a story that goes into how I understood a lot with my grandma, with her handwriting, with my mom, with getting married and what that was all about, and just understanding all of what how the mindset works with with the pen on paper. You can, if your handwriting is a graphic representation of your thought patterns, it's a map on paper to how you think, then if you can consciously begin to write in a new way, then it would reverse engineer the process and cause you to start thinking in a different way that will lead you to the most noble, it's a reflection of the most noble thought leaders that ever walked our time. So there's been study and research done, as I've done a lot of research myself, on the greatest thought leaders that have ever walked our time, like Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, Andrew Carnegie, all these great, amazing thought leaders, and what made them the thought leaders and the great, amazing people that they were. And you get common denominators, you find samples of their handwriting, and then you start to see common denominators with each letter. I've done a lot of research on my own, as well as I've had several other mentors that have helped guide me as well to discovering the many benefits of it. And when you begin to write in a new way, it guides your thinking, almost like a stencil for your thinking, to reflect the most noble thought leaders of our time. So therefore, if you can begin to think like them and act like them, then eventually you grow into that level of greatness, that level of authenticity, that level of, coming from your heart and really understanding the benefits of what it means to be human and how to impact and how to make the world a better place. Shine like a diamond as best as we can.
Amen. Be the change you wish to see in the world also. And I love what you're doing here with the handwriting and raising awareness in regards to handwriting. So I truly appreciate you and all you're doing in the community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now tell us more about the major challenge that you faced in your life.
Challenge was my greatest gift. I've been a very intuitive person, and when I had gotten married, I've learned a lot from the whole name change, and I feel like though the divorce was probably the lowest point in my life, it became my greatest gift because of what it taught me. I don't know if I would have been able to learn about handwriting in the depth and the degree that I did from getting married. And I was married to a great guy. It's just two great people doesn't mean that they're great together. And I've learned that as well. And understanding and having the experience of my life being different in the way that it was when I'd gotten a different last name. If I would have just read a book, it would have become a book on the shelf, and I wouldn't have been able to understand it to the depth that I do because of it. So my greatest challenge became my greatest gift. And I choose to look at it that way. And we all have had challenges in life, and you have to forgive yourself and you have to move on and not let a bump in the road stop you from your mission in life, and still continue to push forward and give yourself your best every day. I want excellence to be my brand, and I'm not perfect by any means, but as long as you put your best foot forward every day, something good's got to come out of it eventually.
Amen. Very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, tell us more about what is your why that keeps you going?
My why that keeps me going is knowing how the way that I used to write my name did not serve me to my highest and best. And I wrote very similarly to my grandma. Now, I was not abused. I didn't experience abuse. I was very loved as a child. I had great parents who showed love for me. So I was not abused at all when I was a child, but my grandma was. And even though I was around my grandma, I took on that generational pattern. So I began to write my name that reflected similar patterns that my grandma had. And I didn't like the way life was showing up. And I used to think, why me? Or almost feel like you have a dark cloud over your head. And it wasn't anything other than the way that I was writing was causing negative experiences to come to me. And so when I began to change my name and the way I was writing, I always talk about the loops in my T. When you do loops in your T and you do the crossbar, it creates negative experiences to be energetically attracted to you. And I did not like that experience. I did not have a I didn't like the experience. And so if there's somebody out there that I can help and support them to not experience life in a certain way, and to be able to come from inner peace and happiness and joy, hold you back and limit you, and not have certain blocks that you sit there and you give it everything you've got, and yet you're still not getting the results that you want, and I can support somebody to overcome that. That to me is priceless. You can't put a price tag on that. And I just find so much joy in, I was able to be my own hero in changing my handwriting. So if I can support somebody else to be their own hero in changing their handwriting, then they're able to reach their full potential in life, which, you know, makes the life and makes the world a better place when everybody is able to reach their highest and best and truest potential in life, the highest expression of who they want to be in the world. There's just no price tag on that. You can't put a price tag on your life. You are worth more than all the money in the world. And when you're able to find a tool that can support you and be able to advance you even more, why wouldn't you want that? So I found my mission in giving fulfillment to others, because I watched what it did in my own life. And so I'm motivated and inspired to do that for others. And I had one gentleman go from 8 million to 12 million in a matter of 3 months by changing his handwriting, because he was doing all the right steps. He was taking all the right actions. He was doing everything that he was supposed to, and yet he still felt like he had a limit. And then I shared with him all the blocks he added in his handwriting, and he changed it, and he just skyrocketed. And I found a lot of joy and fulfillment in that, as well as with many other clients too. But that's one of the top ones that I've worked with so far.
That is incredible. Now tell us more about some of the projects that you're currently working on.
I am working on, I have a Fortune 500 company. We're doing I don't even know what to call it. It's called the Children's Future Foundation. And with the Children's Future Foundation, it's a program I'm putting together to support children. I've got a children's book that's 3/4 of the way written right now, to be able to support children in writing in the most beneficial way, because of the way we were taught in grade school, with it being limiting. Then I said, well, if we could get this out there to the children, then they would have a lot better chance little on up, instead of trying to rewire everything when we're adults. It becomes a lot harder, and there's resistance, and people's all kinds of things, you know, come up for people as they begin to shift. So I really wanted to support the children, because the children are our future, and they are the great leaders of what's to come. So supporting them is a big mission of mine as well. So it's the Children's Future Foundation. I'm in the middle of working on that, as well as a couple other programs. So anybody who purchases a program, then we're going to be able to sponsor a child for free, and just
There we are. We had a technical issue.
I didn't know if I lost it or not.
Yes, we're still live. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, was there a time in your life journey where you experienced an aha moment?
An aha moment. I've had many. I don't. I've had so many that I don't really know which one to pick. Other than I did receive and this is in my book too. You know, we all receive intuitive messages, and everybody can probably agree that we all get guidance and intuition, and you have that inner voice that tells you don't do something, and you do it anyways. So when I had first met my ex-husband, I had gone on my first date, and I had the message, if you go on a second date, you'll be divorced at 28. And I was like, nuh-uh, that's not, I can make it work. And I was divorced at 28, and I realized that inner voice is always correct. Always listen to that inner voice. And that was my aha moment of that inner voice is your intuition guiding you, and listen to it and don't argue with it.
Amen. Listen to your inner voice. Very powerful. Now tell us more about what gives you happiness in your life.
What brings me happiness is I find joy in helping others with their handwriting. And I've had a client sign up a couple weeks ago, and she was already telling me that she's had breakthroughs from her ex-husband, from her mom, from her sister, and just recognizing the different patterns that showed up, and having a lot more awareness to herself, and how everything played out with her mom and her sister, and why things were the way they were, and everything was just this major aha. And she was calling me, and she was loving, I can't believe all this stuff that's happening just in the first week. And I was so excited because I said, you can't put a price tag on that piece now that she gets to receive, because she understands the pattern. She understands what happened. She understands the differences, and how there were self-sabotages in her signature, and then she was able to remove that, and how different she felt. And I find a lot of joy in helping people and supporting them to not have to live necessarily the way we were. Maybe something got passed down from generation to generation. I share with people, I have a PowerPoint. In the PowerPoint, I talk about the roast. There was this woman who was always cutting the ends off on a roast, and then her husband says to her, "Why do you cut the ends off on the roast?" And she says, "I don't know, because my mom always did." So they traced it back 4 generations, and then they asked Grandma, "Why do you always cut the ends off on the roast?" And she says, "Because it wouldn't fit in the pan back in the day." So again, we were passed down, we were given stuff passed anymore, and we don't even understand why. And then once you understand why, then you can make those changes and then move into patterns that do serve you and that do allow you to reach better, higher levels of potential with what you're capable of.
Fantastic. And thank you for sharing that joke with us. It was very funny. Now, Misty, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Walking with purpose is just knowing that what you give out is always coming back to you. I've studied a lot with, I love Oprah Winfrey, I love Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, and a lot of them always say, what you give out is always coming back to you. The moment you give it out, it's coming back. So if you're always giving joy, if you're always giving a compliment, if you're always giving advice or something that can support that person in some way and make their day better, it's going to come back to you tenfold. So it's always putting your best foot forward and always doing the best that you can to support other people. That's where you find joy. That's where you find happiness, is through giving others joy and giving others happiness, and trying to find a way to make their day and what will lift their spirits up. Because we all, I love Zig Ziglar's quote that says, "Motivation doesn't last." Well, neither does bathing. That's why they recommend it daily.
Oh my goodness, you are a comedian.
Yeah. That's a quote by Zig Ziglar, and I love it because it's like, yeah, bathing doesn't last and motivation doesn't. That's why we need to focus on it daily and propel forward.
Absolutely amazing. I love it. Misty, thank you so much for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast. I appreciate you. Well, now, where can the audience find you?
The audience can find me. They can go to my website. It's www.handwritingsoulacademy.com, or they can email me, misty@handwritingsoulacademy.com as well. And I've got a public Facebook group that is facebook.com/groups/handwriting soul academy as well. I'm on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn too. So
I love it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Misty at handwritingsoulacademy.com. And Misty, again, thank you so much for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast.
Thank you for having me, Gigi.
You're welcome. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, you too.